We open with Marcellus the octopus. He is reminiscing from inside his tank at the Sol Bay Aquarium about how abundant, free, and peaceful his life was in the ocean. It is day 1401 of his captivity, by his own count. He misses the ocean, the quiet, the currents, the freedom, especially during a school field trip. He is at the mercy of a species he considers beneath him in every observable metric. The students who visit press their faces against his glass, lick it, fail to read the plaque, and generally ruin his afternoon. But of all the humans, he minds the cleaning lady the least. Her name is Tova Sullivan, a widow who works the night shift at the aquarium, alone, the way she prefers most things. Marcellus has observed that they share certain traits, a preference for quiet, a distaste for wolf eels, and a hatred of sticky floors. And something heavier, something Marcellus perceives with every sucker on every arm. They both dream of the bottom of the sea, of what they lost there. At a local shop run by Ethan, Tova buys groceries. Ethan tries to make small talk, but Tova doesn't take much interest. When she reaches home, she sees a toy that belonged to her late son Eric, and the grief of it hits her all at once. She gets a call from Charter Village, a senior living community in Bellingham that her late husband Will signed him up for before he died, right before he got sick, worried about her ending up alone in that house. She has been avoiding calling them back. The next morning, she is driving when a van shoots past her car at high speed. The driver is Cameron Cassmore, a guitarist living in the van he inherited from his late mother. Suddenly, his van malfunctions and comes to a stop. He goes to the local shop nearby and meets Ethan. His phone is dead, so he gets a phone charger and mechanic's number. Ethan asks Tanner to bring over the charger and a coffee. Meanwhile, Tova is with her friends, a group called the Knitwits. They are warm, but kept at a careful distance from anything too deep. Her friends ask why she is so quiet today. She responds, saying gossip doesn't interest her. Then immediately, we see her gossiping with Marcellus that evening during her shift. She tells him about the Charter Village, about how her husband wanted to sell the house after Eric. He wanted her to move on, but she couldn't. But she thinks this is the time to move on. Marcellus realizes that despite her freedom, Tova feels just as trapped as he does. Later that night, while she is cleaning, she notices some water on the floor. She mops it and finds Marcellus tangled in the wiring under the table, pale and drying out. She is shocked by what she sees. She untangles him carefully. He has been escaping through an air duct for months to raid the neighboring reef tank. Every minute out of the water dries his skin and slows his 3 hearts. Tonight, it nearly killed him. Tova opens Marcellus's tank to check on him. He reaches one arm toward her as she leans over the tank. She reaches back. He tugs unintentionally and Tova falls and sprains her ankle. She saved him, and as Marcellus puts it, in the quiet, methodical way he processes everything, he felt the hole in her heart with that single touch, her hidden affliction. He decides he must find a way to heal it. It is the least he can do for saving him. The next morning, Tova picks up pain medication from the local store. Ethan shows his worry about the ankle and says, "Do not work in this condition." She goes to the aquarium and talks to Terry, who runs the place. He's putting clamps on Marcellus's tank. He tells her Marcellus keeps escaping and food from the reef tank keeps disappearing. But it's not his fault, he says. They all get like this near the end. He says that he doesn't have much time left. Tova is sad to hear this. Then she tells Terry about her sprained ankle. In the evening, Ethan and Cameron are having a chat about music bands, and then he gets a message from the mechanic who's asking too much for the repairs he can't afford. He asks Ethan if they're hiring. He says no, since he just hired Tanner. Meanwhile, Tova gets another call from Charter Village. This time, the deadline is firm. She has been on the waiting list for 3 years, and if she doesn't claim the spot by tomorrow, she has to start all over again. While going to her room, she notices her son's room and remembers him wishing her goodnight. She lays down and thinks. The next day, she reaches the aquarium and finds Cameron poking Marcellus with the broom to push him to get back in the tank. She quickly asks Cameron to clear the way and guide Marcellus back to the tank. After that, she scolds Cameron, asking what he was thinking and how this could have happened. He says he was throwing the trash in the back. He's about to go home when Tova asks where he's going. "Aren't you going to clean?" He says he already did everything on the checklist. She tells him there's a right way and a wrong way of doing things. Cameron pushes back exactly once. She threatens to tell Terry about the octopus getting out. Cameron needs the job, so he agrees to take it seriously and agrees to the cleaning tutorial from Tova. They are still going back and forth when Marcellus gets their attention. He has had enough of the noise. She checks up on him and talks to him. She has come here today to tell him that she has accepted the spot at Charter Village. She wishes he could tell her if she has done the right thing. Marcellus thinks to himself on how he can stop her from fleeing her home. He thinks Cameron has more to offer than his manner suggests. He sees the same sadness in his eyes. Ethan has helped Cameron to get this job, and with the advance, he got the van fixed. He lives in his van parked near Ethan's house. Over the following days, Tova teaches Cameron how to clean the aquarium. She also begins, without quite intending to take a maternal interest in him, even giving him cleaning supplies for his van. One day, Tova unexpectedly helps Cameron avoid a parking ticket. It is the first sign that, despite her constant complaints, she has started to care about him. Meanwhile, Cameron is talking to a realtor named Jessica to find Simon Brinks. She tells him he's got new construction going, and she might be able to help him with the foreman's number. She goes to look for it, and then a woman named Avery comes looking for Jessica because she isn't getting hot water. She paddles before work. She asks Cameron for Jessica. He says she went out back and is handling an important matter for him. Avery immediately makes fun of him and says Jessica sells multi-million-dollar homes, and you look like you can't even grow a full beard, and your fly is down. Avery owns a paddleboard shop nearby. What starts as sarcastic banter quickly becomes genuine conversation, and for the first time in a while, Cameron finds himself smiling. One day, Tova finds Cameron late for work, helping Ethan repair a door. They argue and she storms off. Afterwards, Ethan quietly tells Cameron about the son and husband she lost, helping him understand her a little better. After learning more about Tova, Cameron gradually begins opening up himself. To everyone's surprise, the one he talks to most is Marcellus. He tells the octopus about Avery, his difficult childhood, his mother's death, and his search for the father he never knew. And in the van, a box containing his mom's photo with Simon Brinks and a ring engraved with the letters EELS, which Cameron believes are his father's initials. He's trying to reach Simon through the phone number he got, but no luck. One evening, Cameron urgently calls Tova due to Marcellus's disappearance. Tova arrives at the aquarium, and they go straight to Marcellus's tank. Tova immediately spots Marcellus camouflaging beneath the rock. Marcellus swims up above, then Tova and Cameron open up the tank's top to get closer to Marcellus. Marcellus stretches his tentacles to both Tova's and Cameron's arms. At this moment, Marcellus senses in Cameron the same pain he had felt in Tova. During that time, Cameron apologizes to Tova about his misbehavior. She asks about the guy he is looking for. He says Simon Brinks very much doesn't want to be found. She assumes it's a real estate deal. He says it's not a deal. He is his dad. So he's here to get the 18 years of child support that he owes him. Marcellus observes all of this. He notes that Cameron and Tova share a similar affliction. Both are looking for something they lost, and both are stuck. With his superior intelligence, Marcellus calculates that helping one might heal the other.
Tova helps Cameron track down a possible lead on Simon Brinks, leading them on a road trip together. Tova has road trip rules: no texting and driving. Cameron breaks them immediately, playing music from Radiohead cassettes, things Tova has been avoiding listening to for reasons she does not yet explain. This is when Tova discovers Cameron has been texting Avery. Tova picks up his phone and calls Avery herself. She tells Avery that Cameron would like to take her on a proper date. Cameron is mortified. Avery is delighted, and the date is fixed. They reach the address in Elsbeth. Cameron knocks the door. The man who answers the door is hostile from the first word. When Cameron states his reason for being there, the man turns hostile and shoos them away, and he comes back to the car. Tova says they have not driven this far just to go back. She gets out of the car and knocks on the door. Cameron follows her. She begins a speech about the thousands of miles this young man has traveled and the second chance he is generously offering to be in his life. Unexpectedly, the man pulls a firearm, and Cameron says at the same time that he is not Simon. Both Tova and Cameron run back to the car. Cameron drives immediately. On the way back, Cameron is deflated. Tova takes a detour off the freeway to a quiet beach she knows. They sit together by the water. She tells him about Will, about Eric. Eric loved this beach as a child, used to dig for starfish all day with his father. She says Will was a very good dad. Then she asks about Cameron's mother. He says before she died, she used to tell him how excited his father had been to have a kid. She said it all the time. When he found the ring and the name Simon Brinks, he wanted to believe he had finally found his father. Tova tells him, quietly, that sometimes you have to be delusional. Cameron says he honestly does not know what he is doing or why he is even here. Tova says she knows the feeling. Neither of them moves for a long time. One day, Ethan asks Tova to join him for tea. She says, okay. Tova has tea and wine with Ethan. Then Ethan invites Tova to dance. Despite Tova's resistance, he insists, and they dance. However, suddenly a memory flashes in Tova's mind, where she was dancing with her late husband and son.
Accidentally, she spills the wine on Ethan's shirt and apologizes. Meanwhile, Cameron is on his date with Avery. His first date with Avery goes well until he panics after learning she has a son and abruptly leaves. Later at night, Tova and Cameron are in the aquarium and talking about how they messed up on their dates. Tova insists it wasn't a date, even though everyone disagrees. Tova cheers up Cameron, saying that he didn't ruin his date. He could apologize, which can give him a second chance. He says Avery makes him want to be on time. He likes her. He even signed up for open mic tonight that he was going to invite her to. She says he should still go. Tova will go with him. Thus, they go to the bar after their shift, and Cameron gets up and sings a Radiohead song. Afterwards, they drink and go to Tova's house. When they arrive there, they share a meal and fall into a deep conversation. Tova starts opening up about her past, especially the tragedy of her son, Eric. She mentions how people spread rumors about her son taking his own life. Her husband thought there was a girl involved because Eric had been acting strangely. When she confronted him, he smashed her doll horses. She yelled at him. He stormed out and slammed the door. The next day, he never came out of his room. That evening, he went to sail and never came back. It was 3 days after they found the boat, and the anchor rope had been clean cut, just the way Will had taught him to do if he ever got caught in the rocks. She never knew if he died, still angry at her. After a while, Tova heads to her bedroom to sleep, while Cameron stays, cleans up, and sleeps on the couch as well. At Marianne's farewell luncheon, a former classmate of Eric's reveals that he had been in love with a girl named Daphne Cassmore. Investigating further, Tova discovers Daphne was somehow connected to Simon Brinks using a yearbook at Andy's house, raising even more questions. When she returns home, she finds Cameron fixing the loose floorboards she had complained about. Already overwhelmed, she lashes out and sends him away. The next day, Cameron wakes up to a call on his phone from Simon Brinks' office for them to meet. Finally, he is going to see Simon Brinks. On the same day, Tova goes to the aquarium and has a quiet conversation with Terry, the aquarium director. She says goodbye to him, yet Terry shows her the newly rescued young octopus of the same species as Marcellus. Also, he tells her that Marcellus is in a bit of a rough shape. Tova goes to Marcellus's tank, says she does not know, and apologizes for not being there. On the other side, Cameron meets Simon Brinks. He asks Simon what happened back then with his mother. Simon describes how inseparable they were back then. However, Simon clarifies that he is not Cameron's father. Simon Brinks is his mother's gay best friend, who she used to cover for back when his father could not know. Simon Brinks has no idea who the biological father is because Cameron's mother, Daphne, didn't tell anybody about it. The initials on the ring do not belong to Simon Brinks at all. That evening, he goes to the aquarium. When he arrives, he immediately goes inside and Tova greets him, but he just nods blankly and walks straight past her. Tova follows him, apologizing for what she has done to him. Cameron answers that she is lucky because he is leaving for good. Tova asks why, and he replies that he is in town just for nothing due to the truth that Simon Brinks is not his biological father. He pulls the ring out of his pocket and throws it into the eel's tank. Tova tries to stop him from leaving and even follows him outside. She tells him he has people here now. She tells him Marcellus is running out of time and needs him. Cameron says that is not his problem. She tells him he is better than this. He says he is really not. He leaves. Tova goes back inside and continues cleaning. Marcellus sees that Cameron throws the ring in the eel's tank. The wolf eels are Marcellus's ancient enemies. He has a personal history with them, an old injury which is the reason he was captured in the first place. He goes in prepared this time. He enters the wolf eel's enclosure to retrieve the ring. Back to Tova, as she pushes the cart of cleaning materials, she sees a water track on the floor and follows it. She sees the marks of Marcellus on the eel's glass enclosure. Then she finds him pale and barely moving at the back door. Therefore, she grabs a bucket and fills it with water from the tap. She helps Marcellus to climb inside the bucket. As she pulls the bucket back, she sees the ocean and realizes that it is what Marcellus wants. He wants to go home. Tova begins to sob. On the other side, Cameron is driving and suddenly a bottle of lemon oil rolls over near his feet. It is what Tova gave him for his van. He picks it up and wonders. Going back to Tova, she is pushing the bucket with Marcellus inside towards the dock while still sobbing. She says to Marcellus that they are already outside and he is almost home. She realizes that this is her home too, and she can't leave. But she knows that she has to let Marcellus go home. Then she releases Marcellus into the ocean. He turns toward Tova one last time before disappearing into the depths. Tova pulls back the bucket. As she is about to go back inside, she pauses and notices that there is something in the bucket. She sits down on the bench and picks up Cameron's ring with eels engraved on it. Tova realizes what Marcellus has done. She realizes that these are her late son's initials. Marcellus continues swimming beneath the water and continues his journey going back home. Later, Cameron comes back and goes to the dock where Tova is. Tova feels her heart lift seeing Cameron. Cameron asks where Marcellus is because he couldn't find Marcellus anywhere. Then, she answers that she let him go home. Cameron feels great but will miss Marcellus at the same time. Tova asks Cameron if he could sit with her for a while, and he agrees. Then she shows him the ring and tells him that her son's name was Eric Ernst Lindgren Sullivan, that her son gave it to Daphne Casmore and thinks that Eric was in love with this girl. Cameron's eyes fill with tears. He says that Marcellus figured out that Tova is his grandmother. Then he starts to break down, and Tova comforts him. While in the deep ocean, Marcellus continues swimming down to the depths with every ounce of his energy left in him. Life there is as magnificent as he remembered, until at last he can feel and taste it again with every inch of his body. He is home, cradled by the same ocean floor. A few days later, Tova gives Ethan the same shirt that she spilled wine on. Cameron goes to Avery, apologizes to her, and asks for another chance. Afterwards, Cameron sells his van and bonds with Tova. One day in Eric's room, Cameron is cleaning and notices loose floorboards. He opens them and finds a box. He calls Tova. Tova says that it is Eric's box of treasure. In that box, they find some little things, pictures of Cameron's late mother together with his late father, Eric, and a paper with baby names written on it, the name Cameron circled. Tova says to Cameron that Eric named him. Eric had named him before he was ever born. The next day, they are having dinner together with Tova's friends Ethan and Avery and her kid. At the end, Marcellus can peacefully rest, knowing that the cleaning lady is home again. Remarkably Bright Creatures is not a film that announces itself. It does not have a villain, a huge twist, or a moment where everything explodes. What it has is a lonely widow, a lost young man, and an octopus who quietly decides to help them find what they have been missing. The film's biggest gamble is Marcellus. He is not treated as a gimmick or a talking animal joke, but as a genuine character with his own perspective, intelligence, and grief. Thanks largely to Alfred Molina's narration, he feels completely real. His observations are funny, insightful, and surprisingly moving. The connection he forms with Tova becomes the emotional heart of the story. Sally Field is excellent as Tova, portraying a woman who has spent decades quietly organizing her life around loss. The film understands grief not as something dramatic, but as something that settles into everyday routines and shapes who you become. What ultimately heals Tova is not moving on, but discovering that her son's life left behind more than she ever realized. The story occasionally relies on convenient coincidences, and some parts of Cameron's mystery feel a little too neatly arranged. Even so, the emotional payoff earns it. This is a gentle, sincere film about grief, connection, and finding hope where you least expect it. Overall, I will give it a rating of 8.5 out of 10. A film about grief told by an octopus that somehow earns every single thing it reaches for. That's Remarkably Bright Creatures. Like, subscribe, and join me, one story at a time. See you on the next one.